everybody, welcome back. So, our last corrections was a real humdinger, if I do say so myself. Everything really you could hope for out of an episode of corrections. There was a problem, though. The only problem, really. It snuck over the 20-minute mark. And while that's not an issue per se, there's a risk. One of the stipulations for the Emmy category of this show is that it averages under 20 minutes. So we now, having crept over, we're gonna have to get it back somewhere else. It's just something to keep our eye on, because I think we can all agree the only way we're not winning Emmy Gold is due to a technicality. The category has a weird name. Is it Best Dashed Off Thursday Bull? I'm happy to announce, some of you might be sad, but we have completed the E.B. White arc on corrections. One thing we never got to is what his initials stand for, which, obviously we did a bunch of scholarship. The B stands for B. It's just the B is the B. The E, on the other hand, sorry. We were talking about the song Stan, and in referencing that song, I said I wrote the address perfect. It's that you guys can't figure this part of corrections out. So many of you said, the correct grammar is, I wrote the address perfectly. I was quoting lyrics. So if you have an issue with the grammar, there are three people you can take it up with. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady. Also, don't take it up with him, okay? I mean, I'm in on this, right? Ha ha, you said that wrong. You think Eminem wants corrections from the likes of you? Slim Shady, please stand up. I guess we're ending our sentences with prepositions now? There was some criticism. I said Stan was the titular character in the song Stan, and I was told he was the eponymous character. I think both are fine. I'm going to die on that hill. You know, a theme of corrections recently has been, thanks to the E.B. White saga, which has completed. But a theme was typewritten letters. And I was thinking, going back and watching the Stan, hearing the track and watching the video, it's very, Eminem, again, a genius, made a really good choice to make them handwritten with a pencil instead of typewritten, because the scratching of the pencil underneath that track is very haunting. And I think that would not have been the case had it been a typewritten letter. And I wanted to prove it, so just take a listen, see if you can hear the difference. So we had to take this out as well. This was Stan, but with a typewriter instead of a pencil scratching. It played pretty well. Worse. I loved the Super Bowl halftime show. I did. Eminem, Kendrick, Mary J. Blige, Snoop, 50 Cent. I think that's everyone. I forgot about Dre. I was just acting. I didn't forget about Dre. You know what's the most interesting thing about Eminem? Most rappers are black, but Eminem B. White, that's his name. That's a good transition to the Beastie Boys. I think about the Beastie Boys all the time, but I thought about them a lot this week. I was telling this to Shoemaker. I thought about it a lot this week because Kaylee Cuoco was on the show. And for whatever reason, I just thought if she was famous in 1989, I'm pretty sure the Beastie Boys would have had this line in one of their songs. I got more rhymes than Kaylee Cuoco. These aren't really corrections anymore. Lord of the Rings. I feel like this has gotten lost. I've tried to establish this every time I talk about those books, those films. If you like them, I'm so happy for you. I am a fan of many things. I think fandom is a wonderful gift. It's not for me, but I don't want to disabuse you of your love of those things. And I don't want to do anything to make it seem like it's frivolous, because again, I'm sure you would find many of the things that I love frivolous as well. And with that said, I feel like I've been hard on Rings, and I do want to try to rectify that a little today. I said last time we were here a couple weeks ago, no major characters died in the Lord of the Rings films. I forgot to mention that a lot of people who saw the films died of natural causes just due to the length. Boromir, that was the character that most people were upset about. Boromir died. And Boromir, it was played, not to be confused with Boromir. Boromir was played by the great British actor Sean Bean. Sean Bean, though, famously dies in most of his movies and TV shows. So I feel like it's easier to overlook, in my defense. This, again, this is more like an interesting thing I caught more than a correction. I just want to clarify that, for the Emmy voters, I know. There was an interview with Nick Cage. He's got this great movie coming out. I'm so excited to see. Where people said, hey, would you ever host SNL? And he said, who should host SNL is Andy Samberg as me. That's what he actually said. You can look it up. And I obviously have I think it's a great idea. I have some pull with Lorne, but first I want to even see if Andy would be interested. And again, this is never, he never knows I'm calling, so this could break either way. Oh, he's not home. I'll keep trying, though, and that's a fun thing to come back for. I haven't been as critical of graphics recently. But we had this graphic and a closer look on Monday. That's an eagle smoking an e-cigarette while checking its email. I'm going to read you a correction I got from this. The eagle would be typing with its talons, not its wing. E-cigarettes don't make that much vapor. The glasses wouldn't fit on the eagle since it has no ears. Eagles have the best eyesight in the animal kingdom, so there's no way an eagle would need glasses. If the glasses are not the eagle's but were facing him, it implies the eagle just sat down at someone else's chair in the middle of a cafe and usurped their computer to check emails. Who does that? In what country are you allowed to vape indoors in a cafe anyway? All very fair. I will say this is, I could take a look again. I didn't think this was a cafe. I thought it was an office. And you might be like, eagles in an office, but it's true. Sometimes there are eagles in an office. Like one time, Donald Trump had an eagle in his office. Take a look. And I didn't want to show that, because corrections isn't political. That's a closer look. And Sal was like, you got to show the clip. And I'm like, Sal, leave corrections alone, okay? This isn't your bully pulpit. Because I gotta be honest, a lot of that closer look stuff crazy to me. A lot of it I'm like bullied into. And he's like, you gotta show the Eagle video. And I'm like, it's weird. And he's like, you're complicit. Always with that. Always. But that's what, and one of the nice things about corrections is because it's apolitical, I think it's what maybe people on the other side of the aisle, it's the part of our show they engage with the most. Which is good because this is a little awkward. I have some corrections for members of the right. I always get in trouble because we say that Trump hates windmills a lot in A Closer Look. He does hate wind turbines, but he calls them windmills. So people are always like, hey man, you're talking about wind turbines. Like we know, but so hopefully if he's watching, like moving forward, hate what you hate, but you're saying it wrong. We talked about how Ted Cruz was, basically saying that Disney's rejection of Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill means that we're just like a step away from Mickey and Pluto going at it. And we made a joke about now, if you go on Google, like the autocomplete is, like go on a picnic, go for a drive, go to town on each other. And people said, actually, Google weeds out suggestive phrases in the autocomplete, but not right now. If you Google Mickey and Pluto, thanks to Ted Cruz, thanks to conservative Senator Ted Cruz, the #1 choice is, right now the three are Mickey and Pluto going at it, Mickey and Pluto getting it on, Mickey and Pluto varsity jacket. And I would just guess that if you were on the fence about that varsity jacket and saw those first two, might not want it anymore. Sandberg texted me. Let's see what he has to say. Hold on. Oh, as it says, I'm in an edit meeting. Did I miss corrections? Let me try again. Edit meeting. He's always like, oh, it's showbiz. Bad day for him not to answer what with this time issue. He just, while I was calling him, he texted, I'm still in the meeting. All right. And then he wrote, because this ass every day, he does Queen Bee every day. That's him. See, like he gets wait, is that, yeah, can you see it? There you go. He gets Queen Bee every day and then texts me that he got it. And so he wrote, in edit meeting, did I miss corrections? I wrote, still going. And then I'm like, what am I going to do? Wait for him to, I'll just call him. He'll answer. And he wrote, I'm still in the meeting. Tell them I got Queen Bee. Oh, now a quick correction for Tucker Carlson did a special about manhood, and I guess there's a lot about tanning your testicles. A few people reached out and said, you can't tan your testicles, you can only tan your scrotum. That's a really good point. No one's like, I'm gonna get these kidneys golden brown. That's a tuck up. We made a joke about microwaving your nutsack, and more people than you would think pointed out the microwave only works if you can fully close the door. So you can't microwave your nutsack. So apologies to everybody who was looking forward to that. And I guess we mentioned something else, that a person wrote me, bald eagles don't have nutsacks, they have cloacas. And a way to remember that is in corrections, we fix our mistakas. I got more balls than an eagle's cloaca. I guess I pronounced the T in often, which was very jarring to people's ears. And if you are someone that bothered, you can right off. I'm in a very good mood today. I got to go to my son's school for the very first time today. Because of COVID, I've never been able to go inside. He did this family tree thing, and I went in. It was very cute. He had pictures of everybody in his family, and he described them all. And one, it was just cool to see your kid, like, you know, talk to his class and have confidence. But the craziest thing was at the end, there was a Q&A. And they said, do any of the kids have questions for Ash? And one of the kids asked him, how's Stefan? The mug, we're working on the mug. We don't have it yet. We went to the NBC merchandise people. They're a little backed up. They don't turn it around super fast when you have new merch. I went down, you know, trying to rattle the cage, try to get things sped up, because obviously I want you guys to be able to buy this Corrections, you know, the Jackal mug. And I went down. It was a ghost town. There was one guy wrapped up in like a smash blanket, and he was like, oh, I was sound asleep. He was like, who are you? And I was like, I'm Seth Meyers. He's like, from SNL? And I'm like, no, I have a late night show now. He goes, well, that was Jimmy Fallon. And I was like, no, he's the Tonight Show. And he's like, what happened to Jay Leno? And I'm like, he retired. And he's like, oh, no. He goes, we just finished the jaywalking Zune case. We talked about Brontosaurus. I said Brontosaurus. People say actually it's the Apatosaurus. But then we decided both were acceptable. And then I ventured that if we were allowed to sort of change dinosaur names or agree on a new dinosaur names, maybe it was time to drop the P in pterodactyl. Now, I was told you couldn't do that because pter, P-T-E-R, that means wing. Dactyl means finger. And tear without the P, tear means earth. So it wouldn't be the same. So just a reminder that pterodactyl with a P is wing. Pterodactyl with a T is earth. So if you see a flying dinosaur, that's a pterodactyl. And if you see one walking on the earth, that's a pterodactyl. Mentioned Ben Warheit making a mistake in one of his pieces. And someone said, that's crazy that he would make a mistake because Warheit means truth in German. But in English, it means hates to proofread. People have asked how you spell shoemaker. Is it like shoemaker in the L's or Schumacher? Is it spelled like the German race car driver? This is also easy to remember because Michael Schumacher is one of the fastest, traveled faster than almost any human on Earth ever, whereas Shoemaker is on week 4 of using a cane and somehow getting slower. Watching him move down a hallway makes Lord of the Rings feel like a Mountain Dew commercial. One piece of viewer mail. Hey, Seth, I noticed you had some trouble putting on your gloves. I've been a lifeguard instructor for many years, and I find the easiest and quickest way to put on a pair of gloves like that, at least on a pool deck, is to first fill them with water and put your hand in, letting your hands displace the water. I don't know if it'll help you in your situation, but lifeguard students have a time skill that involves putting on gloves, and I wanted to pass that along. Why do you put on gloves? I just want to say, hopefully this is legally binding. If you're a lifeguard and I ever need CPR, skip it. This is a book update. It was really cool. The New York Times sent this over. They made this, obviously. It's pretty cool. It's a way to track how your book is doing. And I have some excitement. This is week 5. So week 1, we were number 3. Okay, that's cool. And then we were number 4 in week 2. Okay, so we go like that. It's weird that they didn't know what size to make these. And then where did we end up? Week 3, we were number 6. This is bad. I mean, this is so nice for the New York Times to send this over, but this is embarrassing, and I'm sorry I'm doing this to them. The back, they obviously didn't. They eyeballed it wrong. Paper of record. And then was number 8. And then this is, you might notice a trend, which is why this is going to surprise you guys. Week 5 is number 9. But let me say something. A lot of Easter books on the list. And the gravy train just left town. For the Easter books. Also, if you bought an Easter book last week, that's like the way you say, like, I forgot to get you a basket. How'd we do on time, Schumacher? 20. Oh, 20? 21. Maybe cut the Beastie Boys stuff?